What's up, champ? I'm Ryan, and this is Play Like a Champion, Sleep Like a Baby. And what I want to talk about today is why the world feels so crazy and what you can do about it. Part of the reason I wrote this book is because I understand that we live in a world that just tries to tell you that you're responsible for everything and that all you need to do is grind and study and work hard and save, and if you do everything right and you play by the rules, that you'll succeed in life. Now, of course, there are many different types of success, and the type of success that might have been prescribed for you might not be something that resonates at all. But what I want to emphasize is that there's a reason that the world feels so crazy. It's because the world is crazy. You are not entirely out of your mind if you think that the world is nuts and chaotic, especially today, because we live in a totally unprecedented time. Play like a champion, sleep like a baby. Play like a champion, sleep like a baby. It's a survival guide, ultimately. It's a survival guide for navigating these extremely disorienting and confusing times that we live in. And the first part is about acknowledging how disorienting and crazy the world actually is. The first section opens with actually discussing the major issues in our culture, the major issues in our society, and this is kind of Western culture. It is written, as I'm an American, it's written for an American audience, but the kind of unfortunate fact is that American values, the good and the bad, have spread to many other countries in the world, and in fact, in many areas of the world, they are like the dominant cultural narrative at this point. So, or one of them, right? You can't escape certain elements of Western culture and of American culture at this point. So, yeah, it is a crazy world we're living in, and not everything is your fault, okay? But it is your responsibility. And that is like the mentality that I want people to take away from these kinds of things. It is not always your fault. You can do everything right and still get fucked over, That being said, it is your responsibility still, no matter what, to figure out how to navigate these unprecedented times, how to not fall into all these minefields that we have to contend with today, whether it's health, whether it's jobs, whether it's relationships. It is your responsibility. And so that's part of why I wrote the book. That's part of why the information in the book is all about helping to navigate this difficult and crazy time, to avoid those pitfalls, and to actually be able to, once we acknowledge in the first section, this is what's going on, you're not entirely crazy, the world is insane, then we talk about how do you make the most out of what we have, out of the good and the bad of our culture, and then we talk about like the actual nuts and bolts of, how do you implement those, the discipline, the willpower, the actual, the frameworks to actually make the most out of a very crazy and unprecedented world. And I'm gonna I'm gonna not say unprecedented again in this video, but yeah, I think it's an optimistic endeavor. Writing a book and reading a book, they are inherently optimistic. I mean, I talk about the real, raw things that are going on, but it's not meant to depress you. It's not meant to push you away. It's just real. It's the truth. It's the truth that people need to hear, that you don't learn in school, that you don't necessarily learn from your parents, because your parents and your grandparents have no idea what it's like to live in this day and age, basically, in this environment, right? I mean, the way that things have changed, the non-linear rate of change in society has been so outrageous in the last couple of generations in particular. And so there isn't a guidebook, at least there wasn't until I wrote it, about how to navigate this world. So, and to make sense of all the chaos that we have to contend with. Telling everybody, pretending that things are perfect and that everything's fine and that we live in the land of milk and honey, whether that's the United States or Denmark or Japan, doesn't matter where, that's the type of lying, basically, the type of fantasy that we do for babies. I'm not trying to treat you like a baby. I'm trying to help you sleep like a baby, but not treat you like a baby. We are trying to free ourselves of the brainwashing, free ourselves of the conditioning, break free from expectations that don't serve you, opt out of games that you don't want to play, basically, and then actually create a compelling vision for your life and find ways to make it real, to actualize it. Like for me, I don't know if you can hear the ocean in the background there. This is a beautiful way to live, if you ask me. If you could see the other side of this vista, we've got the ocean, we've got the incredible clouds, the sunset. I went surfing multiple times this week. My health is better than it's been, and that's in a long time. And I want that for other people. That's also part of why I have other things that I'm working on. Now that the book is basically done, I'm working on a guide for how to address your autoimmune issues if you happen to have them. And unfortunately, more people than ever have autoimmune issues in the United States and around the world, because we live a very toxic lifestyle, both literally toxins and also figuratively a toxic, non-natural way that goes against our nature. And you can only do that for so long. You can only expect to live so unnaturally for so long before it catches up to you. So that's part of why the world feels so crazy. It's because it is. So hopefully, I know that sounds kind of obvious, or it sounds kind of reductive or simple, but I think that things need to be said. People need to hear these things. Actually, it's like occasionally you need somebody to tell you, "Hey, I'm proud of you," or occasionally you need to hear "Good job" in the similar kind of way. Even if you know that someone's proud of you, or even if you know that you're doing a good job, sometimes you need to hear like, "Yeah, I understand that you feel overwhelmed and out of sorts and confused and upset, and it's because we live in an upsetting, confusing world." So that is one of the very first points of emphasis in the book. And I have many more videos coming, literally hundreds, to expound upon that concept. So that's about it for today, champ. I hope you have a great day.